Hey guys, it's Hunter. Welcome back to another video. So this is one of ESP's best kept secrets. It's a Grassroots G-LP-CTM. Pretty on the nose name for what this is based on. Proper mahogany body with a carved maple cap, set mahogany neck, ebony fingerboard, all the correct Les Paul custom specs, down to the open book headstock. And I picked this up for about 300 bucks. With these specs, that's insane, especially for an ESP brand guitar. So what's going on here? Why aren't more people talking about these? Let's take a closer look. Now, before we talk about this Grassroots, let's back up for a second, get some context. ESP is one of my favorite guitar companies. When I moved back to the US, it's kind of a celebration. I got an ESP standard Eclipse, what they now call E2, sight unseen. I'd literally never even seen an ESP in person, but Lamb of God and Metallica both played them, and that was good enough for me. Here it is. Oh my god, this thing is amazing. But literally, the second that I picked this guitar up, it changed my entire perspective on what a premium level guitar was. It blew my mind. The build quality, the attention to detail, it was so much better than anything I'd ever played up until that point, and I've just been a massive ESP fan ever since. But that led me down the ESP rabbit hole, and holy shit, it is a ride. From the US point of view, because that's where I'm based, ESP distributes a few of their brands. We have ESP Original, super premium level guitars handcrafted at ESP's custom shop in Tokyo, E2, high-end Japanese-made production guitars, and LTD, the affordable import line. ESP USA is pretty much its own thing, operating independently out of their own California shop, so we'll just ignore that for now. Either way, you're probably already somewhat familiar with these. They do tastefully modernized takes on classic designs, and the shapes are modified enough to avoid domestic legal entanglements. In ESP's native Japan, though, completely different story. Exclusive to the Japanese market, there's a whole separate family of ESP brands dedicated to traditionally faithful instruments. At the very top end, there's Navigator, handcrafted at the same Tokyo custom shop as ESP Original, so that same ultra premium quality level. I've actually got one, absolutely love this thing. It's easily the best traditional style Les Paul custom I've ever played, even better than my Gibson custom shop Murphy Lab. At the high-end production level, there's Edwards. It's a bit of a mystery where these are made, but they come with name brand parts like Seymour Duncan pickups and Goto hardware, bone nuts, and the Lacquer Taste series even has proper nitro finishes. Apparently, those crucial final details that elevate good guitars to great are finished in Japan. From experience, they are a lot of guitar for the money, some of the best value for dollar in the Les Paul world. So yeah, my Navigator and Edwards are both ridiculously awesome guitars. Old school Les Paul builds with ESP's well-earned reputation for fucking good build quality? Obviously, damn good time. I'm never selling these. And so all that brings us back to this. Grassroots is the budget level brand in the traditional line, and I've been very, very curious about these. Not just because the main quest of this channel is to try out every single cut on the planet, and I wanted to see how Grassroots stacked up to the higher tiers, but also, weirdly, even though it's the most wallet accessible, it doesn't get mentioned nearly as much. Even if someone has heard of Edwards or Navigator, a lot of them aren't aware that Grassroots is also part of the ESP family, or that the brand even exists. They've got crazy models like the affordable 7-string pink sparkle baby metal signature, a fully scalloped, definitely not Yingwei inspired Strat for like 400 bucks. You cannot even buy a fully scalloped neck by itself for 400 bucks. That's objectively insane. And remember, this is not some random Temu Chibson seller. Grassroots is a legitimate part of ESP, and yet there is no hype around this brand. So that got me even more curious. Okay, the name's not great, but neither is Harley Benton, so is this just bad marketing? Are these just garbage guitars and not even worth talking about? What the hell is going on? So when this outrageous limited edition pink flametop one popped up at 300 when they're normally 450, obviously I had to snag it. It also comes in more conservative classic colors, but fuck that. And one of the questions I get most often about all of these is, alright, that might be awesome, but if they're exclusively distributed in Japan, why are we even talking about these? Can I even get one? Well, yes, actually, and it's surprisingly easy. There are so many listings in Japanese on Digimart or Yahoo Auctions, which is randomly super popular over there, for rare and exclusive Japanese market guitars, Edwards, Orville by Gibson, Japan-only models from ESP or Fender Japan, high-end MIJ Les Pauls like Bernie, Greco, Tokai, vintage lawsuit-era guitars, Ibanez J Customs for silly cheap compared to what they are in the States. It's actually insane how many sick guitars Japan has that you just don't see anywhere else. And I've been eyeing a few I've been interested in for a while because the prices are generally very good right now. Historically, this is the best the exchange rate has ever been, so you literally get the most for your dollar or euro. For reference, it was super hard to find this dark purple satin Edwards, and when I bought mine, it was about $1,000, so I'm a little salty looking at this, not gonna lie, but yeah, it's a good time to buy. Okay, so say you find a listing. A small shop has your new guitar, but now what? It's thousands of miles away. How do you get it from there to here? Well, the easiest, most stress-free way is to use a Japan-based shopping proxy service like Zen Market, who I'm proud to say have sponsored today's video. You find what you want, you send the listing to them, and that's pretty much it. They take care of everything else. You communicate with them in English or one of 18 other languages, whatever you prefer. They buy the guitar locally on your behalf, then they professionally pack and ship it to you. Simple as that. They handle all the logistics and details. It takes all the stress and hassle out of everything, gives you peace of mind, which cannot be underestimated when you're buying something like a guitar from halfway across the world. And I love that Zen Market actually has specific experience with guitars. They have guides running through how to buy them, quick breakdowns on vintage Japanese instruments. They're even the official international shipping partner for Digimart, Japan's largest website for musical instruments. It's where shops all over Japan list their guitars. Basically, Zen Market knows what the hell they're doing with shipping professionally packed guitars internationally, and that's why they're trusted by over 2 million people worldwide. And Japan is a crazy place with loads of wild stuff, so Zen Market doesn't just do guitars either. With over 10,000 stores to choose from, including Rakuten, Amazon Japan, and Mercari, you can get pretty much anything from Japan. There are all sorts of collectibles, like figures or Japanese Pokemon cards, snacks that seemingly each have their own mascot for some reason. Shivani loves stuffed animals, and I swear Japan has the softest plushies in the world. Jinbei-san, or Mr. Whale Shark, is a personal favorite. He's on a lot of my amps. But so if you're looking to pick up your own Grassroots, or I know at least a couple of you have been thinking about that pink Edwards Alexi Sawtooth since it popped up on the screen because LTD doesn't make them anymore. And as I said, it's a great time to get a deal on guitars from Japan. So let Zen Market do all the hard work for you. And to sweeten the deal, they're giving you guys an exclusive bonus through the channel. When you use my link in the description to create a free account, use my code AGUFISH and they'll gift you 1,000 Zen points, which can be used for 1,000 yen off international shipping. Link will also be in the pinned comment, so it'll be easy to find. Thanks to Zen Market for sponsoring the video and hooking you guys up with the deal. Just don't forget to use code AGAFISH for that special bonus. And while you're checking that out, let's talk more about one of ESP Japan's best kept secrets. Came with an ESP gig bag, and first impressions of the looks, quality, and feel. Honestly, it's really impressive. I would never have guessed that this was a budget level guitar. But first impressions are just first impressions, so let's really run it through its paces. And my favorite way to do that is to write something with it. Really get a feel for a guitar by playing around with it, see how stable it is for recording, see what kind of riffs it inspires. So let's plug it in, get some tones, see how it holds up, and write a demo track.
The next day.
Continuity error? I have no idea what you're talking about. My hair's always been like this. Now, I actually needed to get a haircut in between filming the intro and this. My parents are coming into town, we're visiting my grandma, and so I needed to look not like a complete degenerate. I also have 30 minutes before the Uber gets here, so we have to speed run the shit out of this. It's time to really put this to the test. I swear, if this track actually ends up being good, this might be the greatest riff machine in the world. I'm feeling some Mark Tremonti style riffs. I don't really know why. I guess it's my comfort zone. I don't really have time to question it, so let's write some riffs. All right, chugs and artificial harmonics, fuck it. You know what? That actually sounds pretty sick. And I'm not just saying that because we're out of time and we have to run with it anyways. Now that I'm playing this more, this is a lot lighter than either my Edwards or my Navigator. This is a very light Les Paul. You know what? It feels more modern than the Edwards or the Navigator too. The neck is like a slim taper. It's pretty thin. It surprised me. Even the dark purple satin one, which is a definitely not Hetfield signature. It's a metal guitar, but it still has a very chunky neck. I was assuming they would do the same thing here, but no, this is actually closer to the ESP Thin U that I really like on my ESP Standard. Oh, maybe octaves. Okay, I don't know. These tuners don't like sitting still. That's all this is gonna be. Oh my god, Les Pauls are so much fun. This color is crazy too for a Les Paul. You know how much a Gibson Custom would be? Dude, holy shit, this fingerboard is so nice. It's so shiny and kind of reflective in that way that ESP does. When I got my ESP Standard, it was like that, and it's on this $300 guitar. What the f? Again, no time to question it. riffs. What next? Big chordy section. Fuck it. And then some sort of simple lead over that. Actually doesn't sound bad. Beginning to lose a little faith in these. Whoops. It's okay, we could just cut that note out in post. I don't know where I'm gonna put that, but yeah, it's going in. This thing, it's a good Les Paul. It brings out instant riffs. What do you want? Oh, and these jumbo frets are nice too. They're not super tall, but they're wider than like EPIPHONE ones for sure. This is a very, very comfortable neck. I can't get over this fingerboard though. Like, it's actually just very, very, very good. But on the opposite of very, very good, it seems that 50,324% of viewers have not subscribed. That would be terrible if true. So here's a quick reminder, if you're enjoying the content, go ahead and do that. Literally takes a second, you get more guitar content, and it really helps out the channel. We're trying to hit 200,000 subscribers, so I massively appreciate all of you who have done that already. The pickups, they make sounds, and at this point, that'll do. You know what? I really like what Alter Bridge does in Ghosts of Days Gone By. It's like all happy and shit, and then there's like random evil riff out of nowhere for no reason at all. There's like no build up to it even, so I guess let's do that. Whammy, just for extra stupid. This track, just like my mind right now, is all over the place. And the last thing we need is a clean section, so follow the chordy section, I guess? That would probably be the safest way to make sure that everything actually fits. You know, because everything else isn't fucking disjointed as shit. Works for me. You know what? Not a huge fan of the bridge pickup, but I actually really like the neck clean. And then we can do like a simple ambient lead over that. Out of time. Uber's here in 10 minutes. I gotta get Frida packed up, so I'm gonna work on this demo track off camera. I'll meet you back here for my final thoughts on the Grassroots G-LP-CTM. But first, here's how the demo track consisting of the first riffs inspired by this guitar turned out. So, Remind me again, why aren't people talking about Grassroots? Maybe Edwards was such ridiculously good value in the past there wasn't much point in looking at the more affordable brand. Maybe Grassroots has only recently upped its game. Maybe the name really is that unappealing. Whatever it is, I feel like for 300 bucks I basically stole this. The fingerboard and fretwork, some of the most impressive I've seen on a budget guitar. Super smooth, well polished, well-rounded fret ends, slightly rolled fingerboard edges. I mean, those details are generally where more affordable guitars falter, because all that requires a good amount of the two most expensive factors in guitar production: time and manual labor. So those same factors are generally what brands will try to minimize if they're trying to hit a budget price point. And look, I don't have another Grassroots to compare this to, so maybe I just got super lucky, but at least with the fingerboard and fretwork on this particular guitar, for a budget instrument, this is not normal. One thing about the ebony fretboard though, and this is something that they do mention on the product page, unfortunately uniformly dark ebony wood is sadly increasingly rare and very expensive. So these days you'll really only find uniformly jet black ebony on the multi-$1,000 custom shop tier guitars. So for the Grassroots, they've instead dyed the fingerboard black, which, I mean, it looks great. It does wear though, and especially when I first got this, it did rub off on my fingers as I was playing it. I've had this guitar for a few months, so it's mostly stopped, and now, at least in person, you can see a lot more of the streaks and natural character of the wood than you could when I first got it. The thing is though, it's not really a big deal. This is still an impressively healthy piece of ebony on this guitar, especially given the price point. I mean, it still looks good, and more importantly, it still feels really good. It's not all dry and washed out like it's become more and more common on import guitars. Legitimately, and this may be down to whatever magic fingerboard treatment ESP does, but it feels almost identical to the one on my Edwards. And I'll keep bringing it back to this point, but this is a budget guitar. It has no right to have an ebony fingerboard this nice. Alright, so everything's amazing, right? High-end guitar for a ridiculously good price? Let's go. Well, not quite. So, what's the catch? The hardware is a bit shit. Now, don't get me wrong, it does the job, and it's not downright atrocious like the pig iron garbage in the cheap early 2000s imports, but it's not good. And it's extra noticeable because they've nailed the hard parts. The overall build of the guitar is so impressive, especially again, given the price point. And then the hardware. The hardware acts as the jarring reality check. It's nothing unusually bad, it's just your standard, generic, budget guitar hardware. It just feels very cheap. The tuners are kind of stiff and loose at the same time, you know what I mean? Same with the toggle, you have to put some force into switching the pickups, then the toggle just wiggles all over the place, and none of the metal feels like it has any density or mass behind it. The pickups sound like pickups. We can and will replace them with something better. The nut, I'm pretty sure is made of nylon. It's actually cut decently well, thank God, because the way that ESP finishes over the side of the nut makes them kind of a pain in the butt to replace. So I'll keep that, but the rest, the bridge, the tailpiece, the tuners, the pickups, the electronics, all of that, a good amount of what came on this guitar is gonna go. And so we may have solved this mystery as to why these are not as popular as you might think they should be. The bones, the specs, the overall build quality, and especially this outrageous color, oh my god, it's gonna make for an amazing chuggy mod project. So for what I intend to do, I'm very, very happy with this. But let's run some math. If you think about the cost of replacing all those parts, and gold is a little more expensive than other hardware colors, so let's say like 120 per covered Seymour Duncan pickup, 100 for Grover tuners, 170-ish for the bridge and tailpiece, that's over 500 bucks of parts before tax. Now again, you don't have to replace everything, you don't have to replace anything even. It all works as intended. It's an impressive guitar as is. It's just so frustrating and a little jarring that there's such a huge quality disparity between the hardware and the rest of the guitar. So if your end goal is to have a nice playing, high-spec, traditional style Les Paul, at that total project cost of buying a Grassroots, then modding the absolute hell out of it, it might not make sense, because especially if you're looking at the Japanese listings, and even if shipping is $100, you can get the higher tier, higher quality Edwards for less. That's even talking new, and then you look at used, then it really doesn't make sense. So there's your answer. It's not that Grassroots is bad. ESP doesn't miss. Even the budget brand punches above its weight for quality. But Edwards, man, they are just insanely difficult to beat on value, especially with the current exchange rate. Unless you're doing something absolutely ridiculous, like turning a hot pink budget Les Paul Custom into an absolute chug machine for YouTube content, well, I mean, then this Grassroots makes a lot more sense. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that hypothetical video. That'll do it for me, though. Here's where I'll throw it to you. What do you think about ESP's more traditional focused brands? Have you tried one? Have you been tempted to pick one up and just haven't because the import process seems kind of intimidating? And specifically, what do you think of Grassroots? I'm really curious. Have you even heard of this brand before? Any and all thoughts, let me know in the comments. Massive shout out to my amazing Patreon supporters. Their names are up on the screen right now. Consider joining them if you enjoy the content and want to support directly as well and get bonus extras. You can also join as a channel member. Merch is available too. All that really helps out. And don't forget to check out Zen Market. It really, really is a historically good time to get a guitar from Japan. Social media, Discord, and links to more information about all the gear used are in the description. As always, thank you so much for watching. You've been awesome, and I will see you for the next video.